Samhita Om Shanti. Peace to you, peace to me. Hello and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about the Archons, Gnostics and the great Arcanum, the great Arcanum. So, who were the Gnostics? The Gnostics were pre-Christian. They were an enlightened group of beings who came actually from the Essenes, and before that was a group really looking at becoming monotheistic, i.e. there being one God, which kind of Persia and Zoroastrianism, it's all kind of interlinked, even though our established history doesn't want us to believe that it is actually all interlinked with each other. So the Gnostics were people who were looking for knowledge, gnosis, what is the truth, and they found that the truth was going inside, finding the truth inside of you, looking for the answers of this perceived world inside of you, actually taking that journey in, which is very, very difficult when you start to understand what are your thoughts. Are your thoughts actually yours? And why do you act in the way that you do in certain circumstances? And researching this knowledge can actually open up a lot of answers for you in that respect. So the Gnostics were very enlightened people. They were looking for the truth, and they had groups of them that used to be together. And after the Gnostics were all slaughtered by the Holy Roman Empire, the Cathars came up and they were all slaughtered because they were looking better than the religions that were offered to them during the day at their times. So there were people who were trying to purify their hearts, purify their minds, purify their body by living a righteous life, not a self-righteous life, which we have a lot of self-righteousness in our society today, but a righteous life, i.e. this is the right thing to do, which resonates with your heart and resonates with your higher connections to the universe. So the Gnostics were these types of people. Now they came up with the idea of the Archons. The Archons are parasitic entities that feed off of our energies, but not just our energies, certain types of energies. But it's not just the Archons. We have the jinn in the Islam religion, the jinn, or I should say Persia, Middle East. We also have the Chittahuri and the demons, Christianity. It's the same entity they're talking about, this energy that feeds off humanity. David Icke does a great seminar on that in his Worldwide Wake Up Tour. He talks about the Archons and the influence that they have on human society, and it goes very, very, very deep, and it's a very deep rabbit hole. Very interesting information if you dare to go that far. But the most important thing is coming into yourself, because these entities will feed off you and make you do things that you would never dream of doing. You may be doing that already in your life. How many times have you done things that go, well, that wasn't me, that wasn't me. Why did I do that? You're getting taken over and fed on by entities that you actually don't realise that's happening. It's the purification of the heart, clearing all these archontic influences out of your life by actually focusing on yourself. Very, very interesting information. Carlos Castaneda also wrote books on it with the teachings of John 1. And it's the parasite mind that is the Archons. The parasitic comes in, feeds off of other energies. So if your energies aren't true and pure, if you're not actually living the life that we were supposed to live as human beings from your heart, Heart Math Institute has shown that our hearts are the biggest electromagnetic field in our bodies, then you're not living properly as a human being. So if you think about the archontic energies that have come into our lives, One of the biggest ones today is the banking system, where it's very parasitic. You've got this whole private central banking system that finances the world, where we're paying them back money that they've created out of nothing, and we're also paying back interest on that, and that's all coming through our governments. Our governments are also parasitic, who are parasiting off the people through taxes, and this whole thing just keeps going over and over in different memes that we're born into, thinking that we can't change this. It's all archontic, it's all parasiting off of each other. So human beings, when we start to become more Gnostic-like or knowing, we realise that actually when we work together in compliance, when we work out of the competitive mode, which is battling and fighting with each other, we'll realise that if we work together, we can actually achieve amazing things, and humanity has done that in the past. But what it's doing with these perpetual wars, you think this isn't natural, this isn't where we should be as human beings. You wouldn't start a war, hopefully I wouldn't start a war, but they keep happening again and again and again. So why is this happening? It's this archontic influence that we have. You do things that are from your preconceptions. It's another influence that really shouldn't be there if you do the work to come inside of yourself. Very, very interesting line of research, but it's quite hard when you actually realise that you need to do the work on yourself. The great work, it's called, and the great Arcanum. The great work, what does that mean exactly? So if you look at Christianity and how they perceive Jesus on a cross, and it's his suffering for you, but go back even further. William Henry's research is amazing when you start to understand what he's trying to say. Don't go with the words, go with the actual research, and you'll see that when they show Jesus as an enlightened being, and that he'd released himself from all this archontic influence, he became an enlightened being. He ascended. Same with Muhammad, with that religion. He goes to the Dome of the Rock and he ascends. It's in the pictures of these religions. And all these other masters like John the Baptist, who are the people in the Bible, who are ascended beings. They're all worked on themselves, and in the art that has been passed down to us, they show us these clues and information of what it is, what we need to do as human beings to break out of this meme that we live in. So it's actually connecting with yourself. So it's the archontic way is the love of power. You want to control things, want to control other people around you. And the Gnostic way, or the human way I should say, is the power of love, using the power of love for you to move yourself into a better life and ascend out of this matrix that we live in, that is all parasitic, all feeding off each other and causing great harm and distress all across the world, which doesn't need to be there, but it's there because of these influences. And when you really sit back and think about it, it all makes complete sense, unless you come from your conditioning and your program and say, "This man's mad, you can't be talking about these types of things, what's the matter with you, are you crazy?" No, I'm not. I've been searching for answers all my life for this type of information, and if I'd have had it as a child, life would have made a lot more sense to me. But what's happened, I've been through all these different experiences trying to find information and searching for the truth, and I realised that actually searching for the truth is another trap, is another way of you looking into conspiracies and conspiracy theories and hooking you into that line of thought. Whereas it's really important to know about the conspiracies that are happening, not so much the theories. The theories are interesting, but for you to understand it's about you. This life is all about you and you releasing yourself from all these attachments, money, fame, all this stuff. archontic. It's an archontic world where you're looking at other people and go, oh, look at them. They're all up there. They must be so happy. I want that. I want that. Giving yourself away. Becoming a user rather than a creator. You should be a producer, not a user. Produce your life. Produce what you want. What do you want from your life? Produce it. Don't expect someone's going to come walking in the door and go, ah, you're amazing, come here, let me take you over here. Because you're selling yourself short. You can produce yourself. So the great Arcanum is to actually become ascended. And people, there's a lot of talk in the New Age community about ascension. But it's you purifying yourself. In the practice that I do, body and brain, we call it Chanwa, which is soul completion, completing your soul, making yourself in such a high vibrational state that you can disappear. This is what the Gnostics said. You disappear from the archontic spectrum. They can't see you anymore because you've ascended from their ties, and therefore you will move into the higher realms. Very interesting thoughts, very interesting research, very interesting line of thinking. It really is quite incredible, and I would say start to look into it, because the Archons or the Jinn and the Gnostics in particular, even the Cathars and the Zoroastrians, it all starts to interlink with each other. It's all talking about the same thing. It's just you've got, again, an influence that takes over these big institutionalized religions and twists them. Everything's inverted. If you look at live, you twist that and invert it, it becomes evil. If you look at lived, L-I-V-E-D, you twist that and invert it, it becomes devil. So basically everything's turned upside down, and many great people have said that in the past. Here it is again. Everything's being turned upside down. So really, it's up to you to put it back the right way around. You can do it. I know you can. And live the best life you possibly can. Don't do things from your preconceptions, from what you've done in the past. Look at everything from a new, very enlightened way of doing it, like a child almost, with childlike eyes. You look at the way it is with childlike eyes, without any prejudgments, and believe me, it becomes a lot easier to live your life in this madhouse we call society. And I'll end this piece with a quote from Krishnamurti, and he said, as a quote, he said, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." It's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And surely this is profoundly sick, and our physical health is now starting to implode, especially in America. Now they're going to get dementia, 1 in 1. So let's work on ourselves. Let's get ourselves healthy body, happy heart, and a power brain. Your 3 Archons. You keep going. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Sarang Hamnida.